Hey Steph, it is Friday. No, actually, it's not Friday, it's Thursday. And on that note, I'm going to switch my day to Thursday. And you'll get back to me and let me know if you need to change your frequency. I wanted to give you some good news today. I found a job. I'm starting work on Monday at the Department of National Defense. I don't know too much about the job yet, but I'll give you more details as they come. So I wanted to talk today about placement agencies. So I found my job, my job that I'm about to start on Monday, through a placement agency. Placement agencies are basically a company or an organization that hires employees and contracts them out to companies or government agencies. Now, there are a ton of placement agencies in Ottawa, and I was using quite a few of them, and they were the ones that helped me find the job. So I'm actually technically an employee of MGIS Incorporated, and they have contracted me out to the Department of National Defense. So the government job application process is really, really slow and complicated. It's often easier for government organizations to make postings and basically let different placement agencies fight it out to see who can provide an employee at the lowest cost. So for people like me who don't have time to necessarily go all over the internet looking for government job postings, I can contact placement agencies and they will be able to find me work. Now, in exchange for doing this, they take a small cut of the pay that I would get, because I'm employed by them. I'm not employed by the government. But in this case, the job pays well enough that it's not really a huge concern. In my mind, there are actually a couple of downsides of these agencies, but finding a job is really the most important thing. And if they can do that, then they're good for new employees. So basically, the placement agency process was put in place to provide government with the cheapest possible labor. And so this means that placement agencies are basically fighting with each other now to try to provide clients for these jobs. And that means that employees generally have a harder time applying to these jobs themselves, because government agencies are really just looking to these placement agencies for candidates for hire. To help me explain this, I enlisted the help of my friend Christine, who actually spent a year working at a placement agency, and she also used for a couple of years, she used placement agencies. I'll let her introduce herself.
So my name is Christine. I started working at a staffing firm as one of not their employees, but as one of their candidates that they would send off into contracts in university when I wanted more experience working in an office, in the event that I would work in an office in my future or at the government. Maybe it was all the possibilities. And then I went off to teachers college, and after working for a staffing firm for about a year, I went off and became a teacher. That's when I knew for sure that I was meant to be a teacher. So a lot of people call them placement agencies. I sure did when I was a candidate as well. But they teach you to call it a staffing firm.
Here's Christine going through a typical day at her office.
So in the mornings, I would come in and I would have 2 to 3 interviews, just interviewing potential candidates who wanted to work for the firm. And then in the interim, I would have sales calls where I would, follow up with certain clients that I had, checking in on some of the candidates that were currently working. I was just all about client relations during that time. And then like a brief lunch, and then again sales, and then I would end the day with more interviews.
Okay, next up, I asked Christine, why should I use a placement agency? I know the benefits for myself, but I wanted to hear it from someone who had worked there before. I
say things like it should be an accessory to the job search and not just the sole job search tool. But definitely, especially if you're coming from, customer service, or you don't have as much experience as you might like, and you really want to build that resume with different office environments, different skills, you can really build your resume really, really fast with these types of companies, because the contracts are, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, and it doesn't make you seem flighty or that you just go into a company and you quit immediately. Right. You have to learn really fast that job in that time frame, and it really builds that resume because it's a contract position.
I also asked Christine what her favorite thing about working at a placement agency was.
I really like making the calls to tell the candidates that they've gotten the job, because if they were competing with other firms, or if there was, not a chance that they would get it and then they did, they're so excited about working or getting that experience or getting their foot in the door in a certain company that they really like, anything like that. That was pretty fun.
Of course, this means I also had to ask her what her least favorite part of the job was.
For me, I'm not a salesperson, so I really didn't like the pressure and the competition that I had, not just with other companies, but with my colleagues as well. And because it's so fast-paced and very like pressure, like a pressured environment, it's really hard to get recognition for your hard work. So as you know, I used to work crazy hours, like sometimes 12 to 13 hours per day. And
finally, Christine had some really great tips about interviews and about what you should do when you're looking for a job through a placement agency or on your own.
I would definitely say stay active in your social media, but tastefully. Like the people do Google a lot. They look you up on Facebook, they look you up on Twitter. It's good to have that social media, especially like LinkedIn, having it nice and current, because they really like those kinds of skills, because they like to cater to, today's people, which is super social media, right? But do stay current, keep reading up on things that are hot skills to have in an office. Bring something different so that if you're interviewing, you can kind of be personable. Here's something that I would give advice to when you're interviewing with someone. You don't want to be too rigid and by the book. You want to be yourself. And I know that sounds super lame when just kind of pull it out like that, but as someone who used to conduct a lot of interviews in a day, I wouldn't really remember the people who were just ho-hum and had a beautiful resume, but that's it. You want someone who comes in, they're super well polished, maybe even overdressed for the occasion, and they just come in and they're so nice. They have great eye contact, good smile, and just talk about the weather if you love the weather. Open it up. Exactly, because nobody wants to work with a box. You want to work with someone who is that you're going to be wanting to spend time with. And if they're boring or if they're just awkward to be around, no matter how bright they are, it's just sometimes it wouldn't be a good fit for the company. So, be yourself, be comfortable. If you're nervous, say so. Say, I'm a little nervous because I really want this job. Just say that,
So there you go. That's it for me this week. I look forward to seeing you on Monday, and I'll switch my day to Thursday. I hope that sounds good. I love you. Bye.